everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Jen, and for today's video I thought that I would share a update on how our homeschool has been going for the 2023-24 homeschool year. We're now currently in about the middle of October, so you know, we've kind of gotten into, well, we're going to talk about getting into the rhythm of homeschool for the year. But yeah, I kind of just going to do like a quick little recap of how things have been going so far. Also a little update on what's been going on with me and kind of the family, because if you follow me, like if you're a regular follower on my channel, or if you follow me over on Instagram, then you'll know I haven't posted a new video in a few weeks. Just because just dealing with some family stuff. I got news that my grandmother passed away last month, and so I've kind of just been dealing with all that, and so I'm gonna get into that a little bit later. But kind of, I guess everything sort of, you know, when you homeschool though, I mean, homeschooling is part of your life and life is part of homeschooling, and so nothing is really separate, you know what I mean? Definitely been like an overlap, a crossover of all the things that have been going on. So anyway, let's start at the beginning. We live in Canada, and typically our school year doesn't start until September. The schools, like the public schools here, tend to go back the first week of September. There's like a long weekend in there, excuse me, and they usually go back somewhere around the first week of September. One of my sons, his birthday falls on the first week of September. So typically what we have done is we actually take that week off a little bit later than everybody else does, but actually not really so much, because usually when the public schools go back, it's not even like the start of the week. They usually go back somewhere like the middle of the week, so they don't even do a full week. But anyway, that was the plan, like it always is. And a couple weeks before that, I was having some issues with my back. Again, if you're a regular follower here, then you'll know, because I've talked about how I have chronic back issues. If you don't know, I have scoliosis, and I've had it for years and years and years. I had surgery when I was like 13 years old. I have rods in my back, and it's one of those situations where it kind of like solved a little bit of the problem, but it's also kind of created other problems. So it's just something that I deal with constantly, sort of the aftermath, I guess, of having all that done. So when I say back issues, I really mean, like, it's really anything. It's like neck, shoulders, back, hips, it's all the things, okay? And for the most part, I manage it well, and I exercise, and I try to really take care of my health, and I can live with it, you know? But every once in a while, something happens and it puts me out of commission, and that is exactly what happened. It wasn't so much like an injury in the sense that like I did something, like I remember doing something. It's like one day I was fine, the next day not so much, and progressively kind of kept getting worse until the weekend. So the weekend before we were going to start school, I was laid up in bed. Like, I really could not. It was kind of my lower back and my hip, and it had gotten so bad. I haven't been that bad in a very long time, but I really could not do much for myself, and I really was just laying in bed. I needed help. Let's just say I needed help doing everything. And that went on for a good week, like where I was at that extreme. So needless to say, that kind of squashed our first week back to school, because it was just not, yeah. We delayed it by another week, and we started the following week. Still not 100%, like obviously way better than what I was. And actually I'm still not great, which anyway, but yeah, so we kind of got off to a rocky start to begin with, and you know, it was just really disheartening for me, because I think it's like, it's both, like it's you're dealing with health issues, and then on top of it, you know, you see how it like can directly affect certain things in your life. And I think that a lot of the times, like if you are somebody who deals with, I kind of don't want to get off on a tangent, but if you are somebody that deals with like any kind of chronic issue, chronic pain, a lot of times that can be the hardest part, is when you can really see how it affects some day-to-day stuff or things that come up, and like you really, it's like it's out of your control, and yet you feel so helpless. And I don't know, because we do, I mean, it's not that we do a huge thing, but obviously our first day back to school, I try to make it fun, and we do the pictures, and we have some treats, and we just, it's just kind of like a fun day back, and it was not that. And I couldn't even, like, I couldn't even think straight, to be honest with you. But anyway, so that was not great. So we started back the following week. I still, like I said, at that point was still not, I was more mobile, but I was not myself. I still was not 100%. And so we still had to kind of tweak here and there. But, we got back, and the good thing is that because we've been doing it for as long as we've been doing it, we're in our 10th year of homeschooling, we're in a general rhythm at this point, even though we make some changes here and there every time we start a new homeschool year. For the most part, I would say, like, the kids know what to do. Generally, everything is pretty much the same. The flow of our day is pretty similar. So we were able to do it and get it done. The thing that kind of sucked though was prior to that, like leading up to that, pretty much the second half of the summer, I had kind of gotten on a new daily morning routine where I was getting up super early and working out in the morning before anybody even got out of bed. I was doing my quiet time. I was kind of preparing for the day, and I was setting myself up to continue that on for when we started back in school, because I wanted to make sure that I carved out that time. And also I wanted to start off our mornings a little bit earlier than we normally had, just because having 2 teenagers in high school and the third one in grade 8, like I just felt like we just needed to start a couple things earlier in the day so we could finish at a good time. And that just all, that's what I mean about, you can do all the planning and you can be all sorts of organized, but at the end of the day, it really is humbling to realize that it's kind of all out of your hands. I was kind of just a little bit feeling defeated, before our year had even started. We tend to do a like staggered start, I guess. When we first get back, I kind of just add things in periodically, week to week, until we are on our full, like the kids are doing their full subject load for the day. So at the start, it's mostly math and language arts that we are like focusing on, and then I start adding in the extra things after that. What's the date today? It's October 15th. It's a Sunday. So starting this week coming up, we will have integrated everything at this point. Like the kids will have done everything that I have planned to include into their day-to-day schedule. So that's good. And then as far as just like general curriculum, we didn't make a lot of changes this year to our curriculum in the sense of like what I chose for different subjects. We stuck with a lot of the same things, like story of the world for history, a lot of the good and the beautiful for language arts. My older kids are doing teaching textbooks for math. My younger daughters are doing the good and the beautiful for math. Like just a lot of carryover from the year before. I was happy with everything that we did last year. And so for the most part, I just kind of carried that over to this year. And so in that way too, it's been a little bit easier because there wasn't a lot of trying to figure out new curriculum. I would say in general, if we're just focusing on the academics and the school, that part of it, it has been going as well as it could go, I would say. Obviously those other things do matter, and they did impact, the beginning of our school year, but like the kids have been doing really well. So I'm very proud of them, and just, they've been, like I said, they've been plowing through. They've just been doing what they need to do. In spite of some of the hiccups going on, they have been focused and doing really well. And so that leads me to kind of the second part of this whole thing, where I'm trying to think now, I think we had just finished our second week of homeschool. So again, it was very early on. It was before the end of September. That is when I got word in the middle of the week that my grandmother had passed. I did a post here on YouTube. I left a post in the community tab, just kind of giving everybody a heads up of why I hadn't been uploading in the last couple weeks. And I talked about it a little bit on Instagram. That's probably where you can, just in case you're ever wondering what's going on, or if you haven't seen me for a while or whatever, if you follow me on Instagram, that's usually where I will talk about things first. But I didn't even really get into it too much, and I haven't really talked about it much because it's been very heavy on my heart and just very hard to talk about. And I've been still, you know, obviously I'm still grieving and going through all the emotions of it all. But I finally feel like I'm ready to kind of talk about it. Obviously, I mean, there's not too much I can say about all of it, but essentially, yes, my grandmother, I affectionately call her vovó. We are Portuguese, so like my family is Portuguese. And so she was my vovó, and she passed away, and I got word from my parents. Just very hard because she is, I would say, I mean, I lost both of my grandparents on my dad's side of the family previously, and it's not that I didn't, of course I mourned their loss as well, but just was a very different relationship with them. My vovó, we grew up together. She lived in my home, in my family home, my entire childhood, my entire growing up, right up until I got married and moved out. And also we shared a room. So I mentioned this on Instagram. And I know, you know, for a lot of, especially like European families, it is very common to have extended family live with you. But, you know, we didn't have a very, very big home. It was my parents, myself, my brother, my grandmother, and actually 2 of my uncles as well, who were like teens at the time. Yeah, her and I shared a room. Like I said, my entire time living there growing up. And so we were roommates, and yes, she was my grandmother, but we had a very different relationship, you could probably imagine, because we spent so much time together, and she was very much involved in my life. She had a big part in raising me. She was just so lovely. You know, yes, she's my grandmother, but she really was. She was so lovely and just had the best personality. She was so loving, so caring, so happy, so positive. Like I said, just very involved in my life, talking to me. We would stay up late at night having chats, and she was always giving me advice. We would stay up on the weekends. I would go sit over on her bed. We had 2 twin beds. I would go sit over on her bed, and we always had like a deck of cards in the room, or dominoes. Those were like her favorite things to do. And so we would spend hours, like literally we would spend hours on like a Friday or Saturday night playing card games like Crazy Eights or Gin, Go Fish, dominoes, and just laughing our heads off, like, you know, just two girls hanging out. She taught me how to crochet and cross stitch. I just remember her, she was either always singing or whistling. She would even play Nintendo games with me. Like she would play like Super Mario and Zelda. Like that's what I mean. Like she was not, I don't know, I guess I would say like not your typical grandma. Not as far as the grandmas I knew. So we had a very special relationship. So it's been really hard for me to kind of process everything that's gone on. It's hard because you watch somebody that you know and love, and she, you know, she was not herself, 100% herself, you know, the way that I remember her to be for quite a few years at the end there. Obviously just losing somebody is hard, but aside from, like I said previously, my other grandparents, you know, she's sort of the closest person that I've really ever lost. One of the most important people in my life, because again, she played such a big role in my growing up everything. So many of my good memories involve her. There's so many things I could just talk about. At this point, I'm doing better, but obviously having that happen right at the beginning of school, especially when I was just getting over all my health stuff, and then really just kind of went into that. There was just a few, it felt like there was just a few days of like normalcy there within our homeschool, and then I got the news. And yeah, so it hit me really hard, and I'm still obviously, you know, dealing with it. I mean, it just hasn't been easy. Like, every day is better, you know, every week that goes by is a little bit easier. There's longer periods of time, I guess, where I can function a little, I feel a little more normal and more like myself. But those first few weeks were very, very hard. And again, that was another wrench in our homeschool schedule. I wouldn't say right now we're 100% back to normal, because there's still, like, the kids are doing all their independent work, and I guess the hardest part has been for me doing a lot of the group things. It's been hard for me to focus, you know, because I just haven't been sleeping well, as you can imagine. I don't know, like, I've never, because I guess the point I'm trying to say is that I've never gone through this level of grief before. So it's all very new to me, and, you know, I know that there's levels of grief. So I'm at the point now where I'm not like crying every day. It's more just, it'll hit me, you know, out of the blue, or I don't know if it's out of the blue. I mean, I'm still thinking about it every single day, and I'm able to focus a little bit more though, but just my sleep, again, it's all getting better, but the first thing to go for me is sleep, because when everything kind of gets quiet in the house and I'm no longer busy, you know, or occupied with things, that is when everything sort of tends to hit, you know. So my sleep has been awful. I've been maybe getting a couple hours of like uninterrupted actual sleep at night. And so then in the mornings, I'm pretty much a mess. It's hard in the mornings to get motivated, to be honest with you. There was a while there I just didn't even want to leave the house for a while. And, you know, Mike was off, and he's been so supportive and stuff and helping out with a lot of things. I don't know, there's just a lot that goes along with losing somebody. And then there's other parts of the there's circumstances involving everything, and, you know, that I don't want to get into, but there's just more to it, that a lot of things that are just heavy on my heart. And I hadn't really been able to see her for a while. It's kind of circumstances out of my control, but so I wasn't able to be there and beforehand, and so that weighs on me a lot too. And so that's kind of where I'm at. So some days I'm really, really good, you know, like today I was really good. Today it was a good day. We went to church and had some family time and stuff, and like it was good, you know. Today was good, and I'm going into this upcoming week, hoping that I can just focus a little bit more and accomplish a little bit more, but just kind of like even just day-to-day tasks and household things I've just had a really hard time keeping up with. Again, with the whole exercise thing, I was doing so well. It's not that I've stopped. I've really tried to, for my own mental health and everything, tried to get outside every single day, even for just a walk, and some runs sometimes. And I will exercise here at home, but I have not stepped foot in a gym for a few months now. I've not been waking up to work out in the mornings. Like I said, that's just the hardest part of the entire, like, well, it's like the mornings and the nights are the hardest parts for me right now. Like, I'm back to the whole thing where pretty much all my planning and all my just scheduling and everything out the window. But we're still trudging along. We're still getting things done. It's just not looking the way that I thought it would look. Kind of a rough start, but we're, at the same time, we're getting things done, if that makes sense. It's just not the best circumstances, but we are trying to make the most of it. Like I said, the kids are fantastic. They're my kids, but they've just been, they know what's going on, and they are just getting things done, you know. So I'm really proud of them. And like I said, Mike has been super supportive and super helpful. So many of you have sent messages my way. And I appreciate that so much as well. Again, I'm doing a lot better than I was. And, you know, I think for some people, it's kind of like, it depends obviously on your relationship with whoever the person is. And, you know, for some, it might kind of be like, okay, it's a grandparent. But again, just understanding that it almost feels like the loss of a parent in a way, because a parent and a friend, just because of the nature of our relationship and stuff. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So, you know, sometimes all you can do is put one foot in front of the other and make a conscious choice every single day to just try your best. And that's what I'm doing. I'm simultaneously like reminding myself, like, not let myself get in, like, turn inside my own head, and all that too much. Do you know what I mean? I know it can slowly spiral and not be healthy when you're going through a tough time, but at the same time also giving myself some grace, considering the situation, and trying not to focus too much on, like, normally I would feel like a big fat failure. You know, feeling like, oh my gosh, like, we just started and look at all the things that I haven't done, like, look at all the things that I haven't accomplished, you know. But I'm choosing not to look at it that way, and just realizing that that is life. And obviously things can be perfect and look great on paper, you know, but life involves ups and downs and situations like this, and involves real people with real feelings and emotions, and, you know, all the things that come with it. As much as I want to continue to be moving forward, I also want to make sure that I just give myself space to go through this and not just try to, like, avoid it, and actually feel all the feelings and stuff. I mentioned this on Instagram, but, like, the thing that brings me the most peace and, like, it's the thing that will, like, make me cry, but in a happy tears kind of way, is just, without a shadow of a doubt, knowing how much she just loved Jesus so much. It was all she talked about. I remember every single day, multiple times a day, seeing her kneeling beside her bed praying. Her Bible was constantly open on her bed. When she was singing, she was usually singing, like, hymns and stuff. She just had such, like, she radiated this joy that she had for Jesus. And so I know that she would not want me to be, you know, obviously I mourn the loss of her, but I know that she would want me to be celebrating with her that she is now in the presence of Jesus. Like, I have no shadow of a doubt that's where she is. And she is just so much better than she was. Knowing that that's, like, her experience right now is just overwhelming in the best way. Of course, see, this is when I cry. I miss her so much, and the world was just such a better place with her here because she was such a light. So I'm going to just choose to remember all of that, but also know that, you know, I do believe that I'll see her again, and in the best of circumstances, for sure. And so that just brings me peace whenever, like, I think of her, and I can only, you know, imagine what she's experiencing right now. And so, yeah, that is definitely comforting. Anyway, I did not, sorry guys, I did not want to do all this. If you're new, this is not typically what my videos are like. Hopefully I didn't scare you off. I'm hoping to slowly but surely get back on to a routine, you know, continue uploading a little more regularly and frequently as I was before. But thank you for being patient and sticking with me if you're still here. I hope that something in this video was helpful and encouraging to you. I hope that you're all doing fantastic and that you are enjoying this fall weather. I've been loving it, and I will see you all in my next video.